it's just so rad. The legacy, man.
Yeah.
Like, did you see how in like the Knoxville had his article on GQ magazine, and they just talked to me for quotes or whatever,
Right.
and I said, dude, like when I found out Knoxville wanted to do a fourth Jackass movie after a 10-year hiatus, I was like, no, dude, like we fucking, like, I mean, not no, but my concern was that we had gotten away with so much. And we had this fantastic legacy, and then now all it would take would just be one fucking stupid accident, one fucking stupid thing, and like it would all be out the window.
Right.
You know, like be like, oh, all of these guys were just fucking dipshits, and now Knoxville's in a wheelchair, or fucking some just weird thing to just ruin everything. And it reminds me of when I asked you what would happen if the shark bit me when I had the fish hook through my face. I'm like, dude, we were hours away from the shore of hurricane-devastated Louisiana. Like, what would have happened if the shark bit me? And you said, I don't know, man. We got God. and then once again, dude, we made a fourth Jackass movie, and like so much to lose. You know, I'm like, dude, we've survived so much. We've like gotten away with so much. We've got this beautiful legacy, and we're gonna put it all on the line.
And like you were as shocked as I was. Like, so Knoxville, I went to lunch with him. This is before you found out, and he's like, "Hey, man, I think I want to." And this is the first time he's ever been the one to, like, it's usually me that goes to him and says, "Hey, I think."
Right.
You know, you're showing up on Wild Boys.
Right. Well, on Wild Boys,
you're showing up ready to die on Wild Boys. Why don't we make another movie and not, like, if you're going to take a bullet, like, let's do it on a movie screen, dude, not on a TV.
That was how Jackass. Let's tell that story. The last trip we ever went on for Wild Boys, and I think it was understood that it would be the last trip or not.
No, well, no.
Okay, but it ended up being the last trip.
That was in Russia?
Yeah.
Our last trip was to Russia, and oh boy, was that a wild trip.
We brought Knoxville.
Yeah, we brought Knoxville, and it was a wild trip. So we had this one day of filming with, like, what was it, like the Russian
What do you mean it was a wild trip?
Like the Russian Secret Service or
man,
anti-terrorist group?
We went to some special opsy. Who knows what the fuck they were? They were gnarly trained Russian assassins, basically.
Right. And they had a 9mm gun with rubber bullets in it.
Yeah.
They had a fucking attack dog. They had this fucking, and Knoxville says, "Shoot me with the fucking 9mm rubber bullet while the dog attacks me."
Well, they wanted to scare us. You know, they didn't get it. Like, they thought that they set up like a little obstacle course where you were supposed to run around and run by the scary dog. It's some big ass mastiff type weird. Yeah, I've never seen that dog before. Like, giant, dangerous dog that's on a chain. And Knoxville's like, well, I want to get bit by that. I'm like,
Knoxville's like, don't just let the dog bite me. I want the dog to bite me, but shoot me while it's.
And they wanted to have a shootout with rubber bullets, but they didn't think they were gonna fucking shoot. And I'm like. And then we get there, and Knoxville's just ready to die. Like, fuck, I want to get bit by the dog. I want to get shot by the fucking...
At the same time, I remember...
Yeah, and we've had some issues with the rubber bullets. Like,
yeah,
that's not necessary. They call it less lethal.
Lethal.
I'd never been around those rubber bullets, but they were shot out of a 9mm. So we did, he's like, shoot me. I'm like, well, let's do some testing like we did with the, like, back in the day.
So funny, less lethal. They haven't removed the word lethal.
Do you know the story about the first time we ever shot, like, the beanbag?
I wasn't there.
You weren't there. Like, and it didn't air because I made the guy test. Like, we found some stunt guy that was willing to do it. And so
it didn't air.
Like, this is not on the first movie. This is before them. This is for the TV show. Knoxville goes online and buys these little fucking beanbag bullets. So we if you don't mind, just it's non sequitur out of Russia.
No, great.
He went online and found, beanbag bullets. So he buys
for a shotgun.
He buys 3 shells. Like that have the beanbag packed in the shell. Like, and we're trusting that this is like, yeah, cool. Found a stuntman that's willing to use a shotgun and shoot him with it. And so, we're gonna shoot this for the TV show. Cool. And then we get there, and I start to like, this is me for the first time, probably using good judgment. I'm like, all right, well, wait a minute. We don't know what these things do. Right. Like, I'm just trusting that this is a shotgun shell and it's going to shoot a fucking beanbag. So I'm like, all right, tell you what, we got a watermelon. We set a watermelon up.
Yeah.
Shoot the watermelon. Fucking blows right through the watermelon, right through the plywood behind it. Like,
wow.
Holy shit. Like, through, 3/4 inch plywood, the hole right through it. Like that beanbag did. I'm like, hold on. So then put 2 more sheets of plywood, drew a target on the plywood, shoot that. First of all, it doesn't hit the target. It goes near the target, but blows right through 3 sheets of plywood. This little fucking beanbag. I'm like, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
We had 1 more shell.
Thank God.
We had the 2 shells were practiced. Now we're down to the 1, and Knoxville like, well, we're here. Let's just do it. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Like, did we see the same thing? I filmed it. There's a hole in 3 sheets of plywood and a watermelon that didn't even blow the watermelon up. It just went right through the watermelon and right through the plywood. There's like a little hole, like a fucking gun bullet, not a, you expect it to blow it.
Yeah.
Like the worst kind. Because these things fly like little Frisbees. These are the early days.
Right.
Beanbags. Like, if you shot something with that, it's going to go right in them.
So what made it okay when it was time to do the movie? You didn't do it that day.
We didn't do it that day. We found a more legit company that shot a bigger projectile that had a tail. The tail made it a little more accurate. Still not accurate. Like,
right.
It's crazy that they fucking shoot these things at people. Like,
right.
It's crazy because they don't go where they're supposed to. I don't know if they've gotten better since, but when we did Jackass 1,
right,
we were able to do it. And but we had a professional. It had to go through a lot of safety measures, and we had plenty of them to do the testing and all that. So, but I called it off, and Knoxville was still willing to do it. And he was mad at me when we walked away without the footage. Like,
he's so gnarly.
Fucking, like, why are you willing to do that? Like, that's
right.
not. We don't need the footage that bad. Like, this is ridiculous.
He's so gnarly.
And then when we were in Russia, same thing. Like, we're here. Let's get the footage. I'm like, can we just run around and get scared by this shit and not get that footage today? Because I think this is gnarlier than.
Right.
And if
MTV2.
Right, MTV2. And so, like, right when we got home, I'm like, motherfucker.
If you still have this in
like, you clearly want to go do this shit. You came out for nothing to shoot with us in Russia. Let's do another one. And he was like, yeah, I'm ready. And so that was Jackass 2. I don't remember exactly what happened on Jackass 3, but it was the same amount of time had passed. It feels like the right amount.
What happened in Jackass 3 was that a lot of us had traded in certain vices and replaced them with healthier things. Knoxville's just became addicted to nut shots.
Well, that was during Jackass 3.
Right.
That's when we're shooting.
Oh, what you're saying?
Where it was born out of. Like, what motivated? I guess it was.
It was all you, I think, because
we had done the 24-hour takeover. You had just come out of sobriety, like the sober.
I was getting shot with fucking oranges out of some fucking crazy high-power cannon with Matt Hoffman in Spain, and he said, Tremaine's trying to do a 3rd Jackass movie. And I was like, really? He says, that's what he says,
Oh my God.
So I think that was all you.
Yeah.
And dude, I think.
But then he pulls me aside and says, I'm ready to do it. I'm like, are you kidding? And then he pulls out a notebook with like full of shit that he'd been just gathering for the last 10 years. I'm like, holy shit.
So he's just such a different breed of dude. I guess we all are. Yeah, dude. Thanks for watching that clip. And if you live in America, there's a good chance that this big badass tour bus is coming to your town with my bucket list tour. What is it? Well, it's an X-rated show full of all the stuff that I would have never been allowed to do for Jackass. And a lot of it is flagrantly illegal. So it's adults only. And if you live in any of these states, then you better go to stevo.com and check out my tour schedule. Hurry up and get your tickets too, because it's selling out everywhere. Yeah, dude. Woo! Yeah, dude.